Hi, grade 5, how are you? This video, as you know, it's going to be our revision for our exam. So in this video, I'm going to explain again all the required materials for our exam. So it's just enough to watch this video so you can understand everything. So even if you didn't watch till now any video, if you just watch this one, you will be able to do our exam. Okay, so let us start. So the objectives covered in the exam is to recognize and list the divisors of a natural number, and we are going to find their common divisors and then find our greatest common divisor. Then we are going to remember together the criteria of divisibility by the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. And at last we are going to name and measure an angle. So let us start first by the factors or the divisors. What's the meaning of a factor? A factor or the factors are the numbers you multiply together to get a product. For example, if you look at the number 24, you will be able to list a lot of factors. First of all, 1 times 24 is 24. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 8, it's also 24. 4 times 6, it's 24. So the factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. And don't forget that you have to list the factors from the least to the greatest. Now, to find the factors, you start with 1 times the number. Then try the 2. If it didn't work, you go for the 3. If it didn't work, you go for the 4 and so on in order to list all the factors. When you repeat your factors, then you are done. So, sorry, for example, if you have 6 times 7, then 7 times 6. So if you repeat the factors, you stop. And if you get doubles, such as 4 times 4 or 3 times 3, then you are done. So repeats or doubles let you know that you are done. As an example, what are the factors of 18? As I told you, you start always by 1 because 1 is the common factor for all numbers. So 1 times 18 is 18. Now you try the 2. Is there a number you multiplied by 2 to get 18? Yes, so it's 2 times 9. Now 3. It's 3 times 6. Now 4. Is there a number you multiplied by 4 to get 18? No. So you cross out and you continue. 5. Also, there is no number you multiplied by 5 to get 18, so you cross out the 5. Now 6. Yes, 6, it is a factor, but it's a repetition because we already put 3 times 6. So we are done. We cross and we are done. So the factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Don't forget to put them from the least to the greatest. Now we are going to remember together what's the meaning of a prime and a composite number. Prime numbers are the numbers that only have two factors, 1 and the number itself. For example, if you look at the number 3, it has only factors 1 and 3. If you look at the number 11, it has only factors 1 and 11. So we call them prime and prime numbers because they have only two factors that are 1 and the number itself. Now, the opposite of prime is composite numbers. Composite numbers are numbers that have more than two factors. Examples as we did for example 6, 18, 30, and 100. Now, how can I find the greatest common factor? So the first thing you have to do is to list the factors of a number. Then you circle the common factors between the number, and then you search for the greatest one. So I'm going to do them fast. The factors of 56 are 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 14, 28, and 56. And the factors of 48 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, and 48. You can practice them alone and then put the numbers as I did. The factors of 36 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. And the factors of 81 are 1, 3, 9, 27, and 81. Now, because we have 81, which is a big number, that means we'll get a lot of factors. If you look at 81 and 48, although 81 is greater than 48, but it has less factors. And out at the end we have 144. So the factors of 144 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12, 16, 18, 24, 36, 48, 72, and 144. Of course, in the exam, I'm not going to bring for you big numbers, okay? So don't panic about this. Now, what's the greatest common factor of 56 and 48? So they are asking us about the common factors or the greatest common factor of 56 and 48. So first of all, I'm going to circle the common numbers. Here I have 1. Also here I have 1. 2. And this is 2. Here I have 4. And here I have 4. I have 8 and 8. What else? 14, 28, 56, that's it. So the common factors are 1, 2, 4, 8. Now what's the biggest or what's the greatest common factor? The greatest common factor is 8. The same thing I'm going to do between 48 and 144. So I'm going to circle now the common factors between 48 and 144. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Also here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And we have 8, 12. Here I have 8 and 12. Also 16 and 24. I'm going to put them together. 16 and 24 together. And here I have 16 and 24. Also we have here 48. And here I have 48. The common factors between 48 and 144 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, and 48. But which one is the greatest common factor? The greatest common factor is 48. The same thing you are going to do for all the numbers. It depends on the question. Okay? So let us continue now. Those are the answers. I advise you to pause them, to solve them again, and then check your answers with me. Let us continue. Now, what do we have? What's the meaning of the word divisible? Divisible means that a number divides equally into another number without a remainder, without getting a remainder. For example, how can I know that a number is divisible by 2? A number can be divided by 2 if the last digit is even. So now we started by the criteria of divisibility by 2. So now you can directly know that a number is divisible by 2 without doing the division. You just check the ones digit. If the ones digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then the number is divisible by 2. So look at this number, 108. If you look at the ones here, it's 8. That means it's divisible by 2. Also this number, here I have 6. So the number is divisible by 2. So till now we have learned how do I check the divisibility rule by 2. Now how can I check the divisibility rule by 5? A number is divisible by 5 if the last digit is a 5 or 0. So you also check the ones digit. So if you are checking the divisibility by 2, you check the ones digit. And if you are checking the divisibility by 5, you check the ones digit. Example, 99 is not divisible by 5 because it doesn't end in 0 or 5. While the number 875, it is divisible by 5 because if you look at the ones digit here, you're going to see a 5. That means the number is divisible by 5. And also the last number, which is 1280, it also ends with a 0. So this number, it is divisible by 5 because it ends in 0. Now how can I check the divisibility by 10, which is the easiest one ever? All the numbers that are divisible by 10, they end in a 0. So for example, the number 70, it is divisible by 10 because the ones digit is 0. And 33,690, it's also divisible by 10 because it ends in 0. I'm just going to add one more thing, is that a number is divisible by 2 and 5 at the same time, then definitely it's divisible by 10. Because if it's divisible by 2, then it ends with a 0. If it's divisible by 5, it ends with 0. So if it's divisible by 10, it ends with a 0. So it's enough to check the 2 and the 5. If they are checked, then definitely this number is divisible by 10. Now let us start with the divisibility by 3. So the previous criteria for 2, 3, and 2, 5, and 10, you need to check the ones digit. But if it comes for the divisibility by 3, no, don't check the ones digit. Doesn't mean if you have in the ones digit 3, that means that it's divisible by 3. Of course not. There is another way for checking the divisibility by 3. What do? We actually add or find the digit sum. So if you have a number, you add the digits in this number. If the sum is 3, 6, or 9, then this number is divisible by 3. So the digit sum is when you add the digits in the number until you get only one digit. I'm going to make an example. So if you have the number 1467, if you add 1 plus 4, it's 5. 5 plus 6, it's 11. 11 plus 7, it's 18. So you got two numbers. So you need to find the sum again. What's 1 plus 8? It's 9. So you got a 9. That means this number is divisible by 3. So if the sum up to one digit is 3, 6, or 9, then the number is divisible by 3. So we found that this number is divisible by 3. Now how can I check that a number is divisible by 6? If a number is divisible by 6, it passes the test for both divisibility by 2 and the divisibility by 3 at the same time. So suppose I have the number, for example, 930. First of all, 930, as you can see, it's divisible by 2. Why? Because the ones digit is 0. So for the divisibility by 2, it's checked. Why? Because it's divisible by 2. Now let us check if this number is divisible by 3. What do I need to do to add the digits? 9 plus 3 is 12. I got two digits, so I'm going to add again. 1 plus 2 is 3. I got 3. So this number is divisible by 2 and by 3 at the same time. So if this number is divisible by 2 and 3 at the same time, then it's divisible by 6. Okay? So if it's divisible by 2 and 3 at the same time, then it's divisible by 6. You have to check both of them. Let us do another example, which is 216. First of all, 216, it is divisible by 2 because the ones digit is 6. That means it's an even number. Now let us check the 3. So we need to find the sum. 2 plus 1 plus 6. What's 2 plus 1? It's 3. 3 plus 6, it's 9. So this number is also divisible by 3. So if it's divisible by 2 and by 3 at the same time, then it's divisible by 6. And here we go for the divisibility by 4. The divisibility by 4, it's also, you are not going to check the ones digit, or you are not going to find the sum of the digits. What you have to do is to check the ones and the tens together. So you need to look at the last two digits of the number. If the last two digits, they form a number which is divisible by 4, then the whole number is divisible by 4. As an example, we're going to take 9,264. If you look at the ones and the tens together, the last two digits, you're going to see that we got a number which is divisible by 4. Then the whole number is going to be divisible by 4. Another example, 1,209,124. The ones and the tens together is 24, and you know that 24 is divisible by 4 because 4 times 6 is 24. So the whole number is divisible by 4. And 216, 16, of course, it's a number which is divisible by 4. Also, I got, for example, 600. If you look at 600, we have in the ones and the tens zeros, and you know that 0 is a multiple for our number, so that this number is divisible by 4. Okay, so till now we have learned the criteria of divisibility for 2, 5, and 10. You check the ones digit. 3, you find the sum of the digits. 6, you need to check the divisibility of 2 and 3. And now the divisibility by 4, you need to check the last 2 digits of the number. And now the divisibility by 9, which is the last criteria. The divisibility by 9, it's very similar to the divisibility by 3. Well, you need to add or find the sum of the digits. So, if the sum of the digit is only 9, if you still remember to check the divisibility by 3, if the sum is 3, 6, or 9, then the number is divisible by 3. But if you need to check the 9, the sum should only be 9. So if the sum is 9, then the number is divisible by 9. I'm going to take as an example, we have 495. If you add them, 4 plus 9 is 13, 13 plus 5 is 18, 1 plus 8 again is 9, so the number is divisible by 9. And we have 999,918. If you add the digits, you're going to get 9, so the whole number, it's 45. Then you add 4 plus 5, which is 9, then the number is divisible by 9. So this is a chart that's going to summarize all the criteria. So a number is divisible by 2 if the number is even or the ones digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. A number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. A number is divisible by 4 if the ones and the tens digit are divisible by 4. A number is divisible by 5 if the number ends in a 5 or 0. A number is divisible by 6 if the number is divisible by 2 and 3 at the same time. A number is divisible by 9 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. And a number is divisible by 10 if the number ends in a 0 only. So as I told you, for 2, 5, and 10, they are similar because you need to check the ones digit. 3 and 9, they are similar because you need to find the sum. So 3 and 9, you need to find the sum. 2, 5, and 10, you need to check the ones digit. If it's divisible by 6, you need to check the 2 and 3. And you still have 4, you need to check the ones and the tens together. They need to form a number which is divisible by 4. And now I'm going to start with the last chapter, which is about angles. The first thing we have to do is to identify the angle. What's the meaning of an angle? Then we are going to talk about the types of angles, and then we are going to measure an angle. So, first of all, let us start by identifying angles and their elements. So, if you look at this figure, we have an angle. An angle is formed when two rays intersect or when two rays meet. So, this is an angle A, B, C, or C, B, A. Keep in mind that you have to put the vertex in the middle. The vertex of the angle, which is the meeting point of the two rays, should be in the middle of the naming of the angle. So the vertex is B, and the two rays are the arms of the angle, and BA and BC are the arms of the angle ABC. So the vertex is always in the middle of the naming of the angle. This is the vertex B, and the vertex is the meeting of the two rays. So the two rays, they meet at the point B. So this is the vertex, and the arms are BA and BC. Now identifying the types of the angles. An angle could be acute, right, obtuse, straight, or none. Acute if the angle is between 0 and 90. So suppose, for example, it measures 30 degrees, then this angle is acute. So any number between 0 and 90, it's an acute angle. If it's exactly 90 degrees, then this angle is right. If it's greater than 90, then it's obtuse angle. If it's equal to 180, then it's straight. And if it's equal to 0, it's null. Keep in mind that obtuse angle should be greater than 90 but still less than 180. So it should be any value between 90 and 180, then it's obtuse. I'm going to take an example. For example, 130, it's an obtuse angle. 91, it's an obtuse angle. 179, it's an obtuse angle. Okay? So acute angles are angles that measure between 0 and 90 degrees. If you look at these angles, all of them are acute. So 18 is an acute angle. 45, it's an acute angle. 33, it's an acute angle. Also 88, 22.5, 7 degrees. All of these are acute angles because they measure between 0 and 90 degrees. Obtuse angle, as we said, it measures between 90 and 180. So all of these angles, as you can see them, are obtuse angles because they measure between 90 and 180. So 135, 93, 174, 117.8, 110, 157, all of these are obtuse angles. Now the right angles. The right angle is an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees, as you can see in this figure. So all of them are right angles. A straight angle measures exactly 180 degrees. So it should form actually a straight line. So a straight angle, it forms a straight line. Now we come for the last task, which is measuring angles using protractors. So you have to hold your protractors now, and let us start learning how do we measure an angle. So what do we use to help us? Of course, we need a protractor. This is a protractor, and a protractor, it's a semicircle. You have from 0, look at this 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 till 180 degrees. Between 0 and 10 here, those dashes are 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Sorry, between 0 and 10 you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This big dash, this is the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 until you reach 10. The same thing, 11, 12, 13, 14, this big dash is 15 until you reach 20. Okay, so if you start from this side, which is the right side, you come from 0 till 180. And if you come from the other side, you start from this 0 until you reach the 180. So it depends on the position of the line. If the line, for example, like this, you have to start from this 0. The opening is from this side, then you start from this 0. But if the opening of the angle is from this side, you start from this 0. So it depends on the opening of the angle. So if the opening is to the right, you start from the right 0. If the opening is to the left, you start from the left 0. Now let us see where should I put the protractor and how. First of all, when we use a protractor, we need to line it up correctly. How? Look at this. You can see that the protractor, it has a T shape. This is the T shape. Can you see it? So you need to put it on the T shape. Do you think in this way it's correct? Is that how we measure an angle? If not, where's the wrong? Why did we do something wrong, and how do we put it? Okay, the only thing which is correct here is that we put one of the arms on the zero line. Can you see this arm? It's placed on the zero line. This is true, but we still have something wrong. So where we right, we weren't right. It wasn't correct. Why? Because you need to put this T, upside down T, in the middle of the straight line on your protractor. So in another word, the vertex of the angle should be on this T. Can you see this upside down T? So what I'm trying to say is that two things, they need to be found in order to check that I'm measuring correct. The first thing is one of the arms should be put on the zero line, exactly on this line. The second thing is that the vertex should be here in the middle. If those two things are done, then I'm measuring correctly. Okay? Even if I have this upside down angle, it doesn't matter which way around the angle is. You always need to line up the upside down T on the vertex of the angle and one of the arms on the zero line, and we start reading. Okay, we start reading. So 0, we start from 0, 10, 20, 30, until we reach this red line, which is placed exactly between the 30 and the 40 in the middle. So it measures 35 degrees. So if you just read the number which is here, you can see that it's 35 degrees. So once you reach the 30, you need to be careful. You start reading 31, 32, 33, 34 until you reach 35 degrees. So the angle measures 35 degrees. So what we have learned till now is that what's an angle? An angle is formed when two rays meet or intersect. So if two rays, they meet or intersect, they form an angle. So an angle is composed of a vertex and the arms. The vertex of the angle, which is the meeting point, and the arms of the angle. And what are the types of the angle? Do you still remember? The types of the angles are acute, which is less than 90. 90 means right angle. Between 90 and 180 is obtuse, and exactly 180 it's straight. So the types of the angle are acute, right, obtuse, straight, and null. Null means zero. We don't have an angle. That means the two rays are above each other. And what do we use in order to measure an angle? We use a protractor. Well, that was everything for our exam. So the three important lessons are: how do we list the divisors of a number? How do we check the criteria of divisibility by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10? And the last thing we learned is an angle. How do we name an angle? What are the elements of the angle? And what are the types of the angle? And how do we measure it? Okay, that was everything required for our exam. Don't forget that you have an exam review that you have to solve. When you do this, you will be ready for our exam. Okay, so good luck.